Hello and welcome back to the Alteryx Weekly Challenge. This is challenge number 74 and we're building a factorial calculator. Okay, so this is going to be a bit of maths, I think. So a factorial is where we've got a number and it's times one number less, then one number less, and one number is down to 0. So for example, 3 factorial, or the factorial of 3 is 3 times 2 times 1 equals 6. Okay, so let's have a look at the workflow. So I've opened the start file and we have some examples here. So we can, for example, 3 times 1, 2 times 1. Find the exact formula. You can find it here in Wikipedia. Yep. So basically we've got an input file which is just a bunch of numbers. So 1 through to 5 and then 10. And then on the output we've got the same input as in the input, and then, well, if we run this, what we'll get is, yeah, so here we go. So for 10 it's this huge number, 3,628,800, and then 5 is 120, for example, down. So we need to, what I'm thinking is to do this 1 times 3 times 2 times 1. We'll need to do it, I'm thinking we do it with creating rows. The last few challenges have had generate rows, which I've not used much, but I think we should use it. So what we got to do is create the workflow, and then it's actually asking us to create a macro that, i.e. this macro here, that we can from this workflow. So let's start here. So I'm thinking is that we generate row and we'll call it factorial count. So this will just, I'm thinking just count the number of rows. So what we'll do is we stop where factorial count, let's just open it in the, so factorial count is less or equal to the number. Yeah, so new field, factorial count is less or equal to the number. Okay, and then we want to do down here, we want to do factorial count plus 1. So new field, I think that's right. Let's just run that and see. Yeah, so here we go. So for each, so this goes up to 3 and then stops, this one goes up to 4 and stops, this one goes to 5, and then we've got all the way up to 10 here at the bottom. Perfect. So now we have a row per times thing that we're going to do. So all we need to do now is use, I think, a multi-row formula, and we want to group by the number because we also want the number, and we want to create a new field. We'll call it value, and therefore we then want to do, let's just click on the input so we can see, we want to do the factorial count times the previous value. Okay, so the factorial count times row before the value. Okay, so if we run that, what do we get on the output? 0, 0, 0. Ah, yes, because it's doing, for empty values, use 0, and we don't want 0, we want the closest value, but it's still going to be null or 0. So I think we need to actually populate this to get rid of those zeros. So I'm thinking if we insert a formula, and we can call it value, and just put in 1, make it a number, and then in here we need to change this to an existing field because we've just created a value, and everything else should be the same. So let's see, what do we get here? Okay, so on the large, yeah, so 1 and 1 times 1 is 1. Under here, 2 times 1 is 2, and on 3, so 3 times 2 times 1 is 6, and then 4 we've got 24 like we have up here, and then 120, and then at the bottom we have 1,628,800. So we have the numbers. Brilliant. Okay, so let's just summarize. Let's just get rid of the values that we don't need. So we want to group by number, and then on value we want to take the max. Oh no, that's the min. we wanted the max. Okay, and we can rename this to be, what was it called in here? Factorial. Factorial. Okay, we run that. Yep, then we have the same as that's in here. So that's good. Now we need to make this a macro. So I'm going to copy that and open a new sheet. Paste it in. Okay. So we now need to insert, here we are, macro input. We need macro input. We need macro output. So if we put in the input, let's just go back here and pull some data. So we don't need all of this. Let's just take that, copy with headers. We'll see. Edit data, and then paste. Let's put it in there. So we'll call this number. I'm going to delete this row. Okay, so that's given us an example. Unknown error. Do we need a text input as well? Why is it input must not be used for a question? No, I didn't want it as a question. I wanted it. Let's just get rid of that. Put that there. I like it. There's no factorial count doesn't exist. Oh, missing bit. Missing this bit. Okay. So, paste that in. That in there. Okay, right. So if we save this, I'll save as macro factorial. Save that. Okay, and now if we go back here, what we can do, I think, is insert, right-click macro factorial. We can then put an browse in there. Sorry, an input in there, and then a browse here. And if we run that, brilliant. We get the right answer. Let's just change something here just to make sure. Let's change this to 8. See if we get a different answer. That's 40,000, and that is 40,000. There you go. Perfect. Thank you very much for watching. See you again next time.